Denn heute stehen ganz spezielle Sachen an. Heute heißt es Musik über Musik über Musik. Ja, und wir legen los mit... Ja, Musik, naja. Wir legen los mit unserem lieben Demyex. Willst du dich irgendwie kurz vorstellen? Du machst, wahrscheinlich kennen dich alle, Russian Hardbass.
Nee, ich habe vor 1,5 Jahren angefangen, selber Hardbass zu produzieren und habe mich inzwischen da so klamausert, dass ich so ein bisschen schaffen kann, meinen eigenen Weg zu gehen, mein eigenes Sounddesign zu machen und um das so ein bisschen zelebrieren und um auch so ein bisschen meine Schullaufbahn, die jetzt ja zu Ende gegangen ist, zum Glück zu feiern, habe ich mir jetzt gedacht, dass ich meinen letzt releaseden Track hier einfach mal auseinander basteln werde. Namens Hypnotize, featuring den guten Werner Herzog, den ich da unfreiwillig gesampelt hatte. Ich glaube, das findet er gar nicht so gut. Aber werden wir dann später zu kommen, wenn es dann Zeit ist, wenn ich euch das Sample zeigen kann. Und da ich weiß, dass ich hier durchaus die 3 Zuschauer, die wir hier haben, die werden ja auch der englischen Sprache mächtig sein und für die Internationalität setze ich mich auch gerne ein. Deswegen werde ich versuchen, das Ganze hier so gut wie möglich auf Englisch zu strukturieren, wenn das denn kein Problem für euch darstellt.
Ja, wir sind doch voll hier multi-language.
Ja, das ist es.
My English is yellow from the egg, you know.
Das freut mich. Dann ich bin allseits bereit zu starten. Ich nehme hier nur einen Schluck von meinem
Ich muss mal kurz die Kommentare vorlesen. Und zwar: Ferdinand, ich drücke mich gerade nur für dich vor der Arbeit.
Na, das ist sehr schön.
Spätschicht nervt.
Das ist korrekt. Spätschicht wünscht man keine Menschen. Ich kann mir auch vorstellen, welcher Mensch das war und ich wünsche ihm noch eine sehr, sehr schöne Spätschicht. Und ganz, ganz viel Liebe und Grüße.
Ja. Und ich habe noch einen Kommentar, der besagt: Yo, Demyex! Okay, ist jetzt nicht so inhaltsvoll, Leute, ihr könnt ruhig mal ein bisschen mehr...
Ich finde es sehr gut, wenn man denn die Namen dazu schreibt. Ich kenne die meisten Leute nämlich und dann kann ich darauf ein bisschen mehr eingehen.
Soll ich das sagen? Darf ich das sagen?
Du kannst die Namen, das sind ja die Benutzernamen auf YouTube, die sind ja zu veröffentlichen.
Gut.
Hier.
Es ist ein bisschen wie Diarrhoe, aber es ist eher so Doire.
Es heißt Duri.
Ja,
Duri.
sag ich ja.
Ja, Duri, mein Freund, welcome here. You joined in the stream. And in a second, the deconstruction of this track will start.
Genau. Ja, aber nur kurz bevor wir damit anfangen, will ich noch mal kurz sagen, was uns heute noch so erwartet. Und zwar haben wir vor einer Stunde mit einem jungen Singer-Songwriter schon mal einen Stream, ein Video vorproduziert. Da singt er ein paar Songs und erzählt ein bisschen über sich. Das ist sehr gut geworden. Das müsst ihr euch angucken. Das kommt dann direkt quasi im Anschluss, nachdem Demyex uns seinen Song da erklärt hat. Was haben wir noch? Ja, ein weiterer Singer-Songwriter hat uns auch einen kleinen Song geschickt, Max Goos. Also der erste heißt Yannick Weber, ist vielleicht auch mal wichtig, das zu erwähnen. Der zweite heißt Max Goos und ganz zum Ende zeigen wir euch noch die Teaser von Afterlife und Really Young Lovers. Ja, dann im Prinzip können wir dann, um Zeit zu sparen und Geld...
Ich würde mir wünschen, dass man hier...
Fangen wir jetzt mal an.
Da muss man ja leider meinen Laptop dafür sehen, ne? Und solange ich den nicht sehe...
Richtig. Da musst du...
Dann muss ich jetzt warten, bis die Technik fertig ist.
Da rede ich noch ein bisschen, was rede ich ja noch?
Ja, da können wir hier einen kleinen... perfekt, ich sehe es doch schon. Also.
Toll, jetzt, wo ich gerade überlege, was zu bringen.
Tja, so ist es, wenn man reden will. Gut. Er packt mich einfach oben links in die Ecke, so ein bisschen kleiner.
Very good, very good.
Okay, mach mal so. So,
Hello, Boltman. Ich rufe einfach so ein bisschen Kommentare dazu
ja, das ist sehr schön. So, to start off, I would say we start with the drums, because the drums are one of the most important things in tracks, as you can guess, I think. And I think in this track, I didn't use my own samples. In fact, I'm very keen on using Vengeance samples here and there. And I have to move this with a fucking trackpad. I hate working on laptops, but this is just how it is. Excuse it if it takes a bit long. But this is the kick I sampled. It's the Vengeance 26 kick. And as you can hear, it's really high pass. That's because I high passed it. Also with the mod X envelope, it's just high pass if I turn those things off. You would still hear the same, mostly because I have the same thing done on the mixer channel. On this first, as you can see, if I open the EQ, I've cut out some those that come in here. Mainly, I wanted to keep some mids of the kick, and The low part of the kick, I did the same thing as well. If we go into the second operator of the low kick, we see that I have mainly lows. Together, both sound complete garbage. This is just the high operator, this is the oomph, oomph, oomph. It sounds really not that great. But if you combine those, you get a really nice punchy kick. And if I would play it in a moment where the bass hits, you see, you really get that nice, I smash your face with my kick and the bass. I also put them both on master channel bus, where there's some more distortion, because we all love distortion. There's another EQ where I just took out some frequencies I didn't like, mainly because sometimes that can give a nice vibe to the kick as well. I put it on mono because I just want to have it like really solidified and not just really panned. And I have made a second EQ to cut out these infra frequencies from 20 to 36 hertz, as you can see here, which is really important if you try to make a clean sounding track, try to make a clean sounding mix in general. These infras mainly just convolute the mix. You can't hear these frequencies as well, and they're just like mumbly in the distance. They it creates some kind of vibe in the track, but mostly it just is garbage for the ears, so I just cut them out and put that at the end of the channel bus. So now we get this beautiful heavy hitting kick. If we look at my snares, I choose, let me zoom in for that, for the snares. I actually used 3 snares. As you can see, they're also all Vengeance snares, who could have guessed. It's again the same thing with layering the samples. If we look at this snare, that sounds kind of lame together. Then I put a second operator on it, and the third for the highs. And then they go into a channel bus where some distortion hits again, and I cut out the lows so the snare doesn't conflict with the bass of the kick. Some light reverb, as you can see here, with the dry on maximum, so you have the impact of the kick really fucking smashing your head. And then again a stereo enhancer, just for slight panning, and the loft filter, which I will get into when I explain the mixing. Hoppala, I played too much of the track. Then we get into the cymbals, which are also quite easy to explain. Mainly you want your cymbals to, let me mute and isolate them. It's basically the same with the layering. You want your cymbals. These are Kashmir samples, by the way, because I think Kashmir right now makes one of the best samples on the market, and you should get those if you don't use your own. They can really like uplift your mixing experience, your working experience. In general, having a buttload of samples is sometimes nice because it can grant you some nice inspiration. So to start off with the hi-hats, if we look at this, I just have an offbeat hi-hat, just like that always goes after the kick. And then I have the closed hi-hat, which goes against that and just does its own thing. Oh, I should probably get the right track. Yeah, there we go. So it goes against that, and sometimes there's some variation in the pattern. And at the beginning, I have a ride. So at the start of every 8 bars, there's a ride in the cymbal pattern, which just gives it a nice, more alive vibe. And if we play the drums all together, let me unmute all that garbage. I bet there are shortcuts for this, but I don't have a mouse right now on me. We have this nice snare, this nice drum pattern, I mean. Which is really, really nice and tight. But it's of course not the only thing in this track, because for a hard bass track we need dongs, and we will get into the dongs now, because I think that's the thing the most people are interested in. And then we will get into my melody writing of the track afterwards. So as you can see, holy shit, I should detach that so you can see it better. There's a lot going on in my dong pattern. Oh, I didn't want to paste it. This is the problem with the trackpad. I am not really efficient on it. So these are all the patterns you see. What I did here, oh, now I need to attach it again. Just some working issues right here. If we listen to the dongs, they start on 21. I hate the trackpad so fucking much. I'm really sorry. The dongs are actually, for the most part, my sound design. This is a dong I once made, and I just put the envelope on hold. That's like a nice thing of getting a complete cut when you end your note. Like it's just on gate, and you play, and when you stop playing, the note instantly stops, which is nice. And I learned that actually from Leo Lantern. Huge shout out to Leo Lantern, because he's the boy and he makes great music. And he learned me, or I learned a lot from him through my years, or through my year of producing, because he's always a bit of ahead of everyone else, but that's just how he is. He's just a writing genius in general. But let's get back to the track. I have this dong I synthesized myself, and it sounds kind of lame. I put a wave shaper on it. If we listen to the dong without effects, you see that there's a bit more bass. I cut that off. I put a chorus on it, so it sounds a bit more like two operators or two dongs playing. And I put it a bit more stereo, because I was feeling that it lacked a bit of stereo-ness. And we can go into the dong channel at first. You can see these deactivated plugins. I will go in later. But essentially there's just a reverb playing for all the dongs, so all the dongs have the same kind of reverb. And there's an LFO tool, which you see now, and this is just my sidechaining method. I have it not on full. It's still a really heavy sidechain, but I think if you have it on low for some tracks, you need to play around a bit with the sidechain. Sometimes it's better to not have it on full. Like if I make this, you can hear the difference. I can just show that. The first, the dongs that go on beat are really cut off, and I don't really like that. Let's put it back to where it was. And now the dong always plays and gets a bit ducked when the kick comes, like your sidechain, so the kick gets better through the mix and the thing sounds a bit more alive. But with a sidechain, it sounds just a bit better, and sidechain settings are really debatable, but try to play around with those. I think not always putting it to the lowest is a nice technique to give a nice, maybe some kind of unique style even to your music. But let's get back to the dongs. I, of course, didn't use only my dong 17. I need to minimize the mixer so I can play around with both. We have on 22 another dong, which is also dong 22. Watch the similarity. It serves more for the low part. What I did on this dong, if we look at the effects, this again had a bit much bass, I felt, so I cut it off, and then I distorted the shit out of it and put some OTT, some compression on it with these kind of settings, played around a bit till I found a nice OTT setting. And OTT sometimes can really help making the dong or the track really, or giving the synth or the dong, whatever you're putting it on, a really nice clarity and boosting the transient. Sorry, a bit more. My mouth got a bit dry. And it can just uplift the sound in general quite a bit. We can actually try to hear the difference. This is with OTT. This is without. It's a minor difference for me, but minor differences altogether make up a huge part of my kind of style. Like I like to have my things sounding just a bit different, and altogether they give a unique kind of style. Then we have dong 21, which looks like this. Again, very low based, and it's even more low based. But if you can see, if I turn on the effects again, I boosted the attack of the dong because it was really weak and lacked some punch in general. So again, distortion, EQ to cut out the infra so it doesn't conflict with the kick, boosting some parts. I should have probably cut out something there. Note that this project is also like 3-4 months old. I've changed. The producer life is really fast-lived. Something changes a lot. Like I wouldn't do this kind of aggressive EQing anymore, but sometimes that can really help make the sound stand out. And again, I mono that because I think it should be monoed. It shouldn't be that much stereo, mainly because there are a lot of lows or mids playing there, and I don't want them to just convolute the mix. So these are the main elements of the melody. The melody together just sounds like this. But it wouldn't be the hypnotized melody if I wouldn't have used spice up. So I layered it with a layer lantern donk. This one in particular, let's unmute this and play it actually. It's a really nice donk for layering. And again, here you see the same kind of procedure. I have the same kind of workflow for my things. If I think the donk lacks a bit more, lacks something, I put on a chorus to give it more body or give it like a sound that it's not just playing alone. And if it lacks some volume or lacks some noise in general, I just put a distortion on it. Then I mono it or stereo it, and then I put at the end of the chain sometimes an EQ even to cut out some frequencies. And this is actually a fucking big mistake, I can show you that. This shouldn't look like this. What I just did is drag that down. That's not right. What you should do, I need to try to get that right on the thing, is just get a clean cut like this. This clean cut actually won't leave the infra frequencies on here, which I mentioned. And I don't know why I didn't do it on this donk channel, but it's a nice thing that we found that out now, so I can teach you not doing that, because that there may be a way of using it, but not for just normal tracks or normal EDM type dance tracks. It's just, you get a lot of frequencies you don't really want. They're not that hearable, but at the end, if you do it so often, they stack up and they just crush your mix, and it doesn't sound nice at fucking all. So with the nice lay donk, we get a more greasy fucking sounding. This is where the power of the track comes from these lows I used. And what I now did is spice up with some more fill donks, like I written my melody in A, B, A, C, just a general writing type of how to write melodies, a call, response, call, second response. And some of these donks, this sounds like this, for example, or this metal shade donk, they play either in the first or the second section, in the A or the B, or the A or the C. And that just gives a nice vibe. Like we can isolate them to look how they sound alone. This is just a metal layer. This is actually not my sample, it's one from Alan Aztec. Alan Aztec, as one of the persons that was really big in donk music before it was that memeable and that hard bass music that we now have. He started out in UK Bounce and Scouse House, and he has been here for quite some time, and he makes amazing samples and also amazing new music. If you have for some reason not subscribed to Alan Aztec, fucking do it. There's no reason you can't do. His music is great. And I use his samples because they're really, really good. This actually is kind of interesting, which I would explain in the writing. This is also Alan Aztec donk. It's the Lifeblood donk, and you hear it used a lot in like all the underground community tracks because it's just so nice. It has like a long tail, and what I love to do with this is glide notes. Glide notes are when you put a note, and you put a second note under that and go into the note settings, press glide, boom, and then you have the glide effect. And that just whap whap, you hear that the note glides down to that section. You don't have to do it with pitch bending, which is really nice in FL Studio, compared to Ableton, where you would have used an automation, because I think that's the only thing that has FL Studio running against. Ableton is the piano roll is way superior, in my opinion. Just some slight Ableton disses here and there. But yeah, I use that again to layer in different parts. So, and it also plays in 2 octaves, like it slides down a whole octave. So you can notice it in the mix. And I put the slide downs at the start of the A sections, as you can hear now. And in this variation, also at the first B, in the first response. And that just gives a nice start to the pattern in general. And if we unmute all of that and play it together with a sidechain and then with the drums, let me do that real quick. It just sounds like a really alive melody. And what I did for the sub bass, it's pretty basic. I hope that was the thing for the sub bass, by the way. No, it's on the 16. What the fuck? Oh, wow, that's weird. There we go. It's just a 3x oscillator, really basic. I used a square to get some grittiness. And I also distorted it, sidechained it a bit, cut out the frequencies where the sub should play, in my opinion, and then monoed it, because the sub should always be mono. Every bass frequency should mono. You can basically keep that in mind, like bass frequencies, mono. Mid frequencies, you can decide if it's high to mid frequencies, you want to stereoize them, not as much as you stereoize the highs, but kind of in this kind of in the direction. And if it's like mids to low, you don't want to mono it more, but not completely mono. That's just how I work about my projects, at least. And if we play the drop now with all the drums, it sounds like this. And what I did for the first part is that I made, oh, let me zoom back, that I had pauses in the kick drum, as you see here. And that leaves like I had pauses in the beat in the pattern 2, or notes in the pattern. And that's really just really, really, really nice. That can give stopping motion to the track, or just like this moment of brief pause and then resuming the melody, which really helps to get the track along, for me at least. It may be not the taste for all of you, but for example, all the people in Dark Bass Records are kind of prone to this tactic. If we look at D-Bass, for example, or Gotcha and Gachi, they really like to use it, and their tracks are amazing. So I thought, like, hey, I can copy some ideas of them. I made the beat stop. And you see that just gives a nice alive, vivid vision of the track. Speaking of Dark Bass Records members, I want to really thank Renu. I hope I pronounced your name right, bro. For helping me a lot on the mixing and mastering on this track. I couldn't have done it without him, and he just helped me get the track just done in like a short amount of time. We can look at the project info. I spent only nearly like 40 hours on this track, and without Renu it would have been way, way more. So yeah, thanks you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's about it for the dongs and the pattern. In the second drop part, I played a variation of those dongs. It's the same basis pattern, but just with more notes, and it just is really, really, really nice. Or is a nice way to get a new melody that's kind of known to the listener, because the listener already listened to the first part of the drop, and if he knows there's those certain elements, they don't feel completely new to him, and he feels like the melody is right in some kind of direction. I don't say that you can't do a completely different melody there. That's also nice. I do that now also in some of my tracks that I haven't released yet. But in this track, I chose the way of just complexifying the first pattern I've written. And what you may have noticed is that this isn't the normal 32 bars drop. This is like 32 plus an extra 16. I don't know really why I did this. Normally you should do 32 bars. People want to DJ that track, and most of the tracks out there have 32 bar drops, and this is how the DJs can know when to play your track or when not. They put markers there, and if your drop is longer, they just get confused and maybe don't play your music, and it's not that great. But otherwise you can try out to use a different kind of bars for your drop, I guess. Then we can go into the synth sound design. And then I will go into the breakdown structure a bit more. But firstly, to the synths in the breakdown. And the first, they're basically all serums. We can go through the presets. This is like just a basic plug with a longer tail. What I also did right here, right now, so I can share this to you, is I needed to drastically minimize the unison. It would be way higher for me, so the sound is more spread and more stereoized and just sounds more wide and nice, because it's the high frequencies, you want them to be wide, I guess. And I needed to reduce that for the stream right now because my laptop can't handle serum that well, and we have a lot of serums playing at the same time. So yeah, no, that wasn't an option. Then we have a basic saw sine plug with a bit of movement and the bending, nothing too special. Just a more digital wavetable that gets bent also, and then it's also just a plug. It's just plug layering. And these are the super saws which we will use for the second breakdown. This is the first super saw, and this is this layer of a super saw. It's not just basically a super saw. It's just a layer for some more high frequencies, I guess. And then I have this, which is the gritty bass for the first breakdown. So if we listen to this, the bass is actually the first thing that comes in for me. I filtered it in with just a normal volume automation. And it plays the root notes of the melody, so you can get along. The melody in itself looks like this. Don't get confused, it's just the same melody but layered on different octaves. This is why it may look so stacked. And it just plays like. Notice how I again used A, B, A, C as a structure. And yeah, that's just basically my music in general. I stick to this call and response pattern a lot. And it's my ideal of working around with those kind of melodies. And the second time around, there's also some saw melodies playing, like this is the plug melody and the saw melody. If we look into detail, it sounds like this. And this is just a typical trope for build-ups, like you hear the sound plugged, and then it widens up and becomes a super saw, or just wide synth in general. But for most of the part, it's saws that have been used here because they just can give so much emotion and so much life to the track. And if we I need to unmute a lot of the automations, because then you hear that I at least try to filter it in. I hope at least. We will see. Oh my god, this is so freaking much automation. Yeah. You see how it shifts more and more to the saw, and then the saw hits. And this just like foreshadows that something big is brewing up, and then the saw comes and you're like, oh my god, it's a saw wave. Who could have thought in a breakdown? That has never been done before. And then when the saw plays, I also doubled the bass. It's just the same bass, but with more, with more octaves. So it sounds a bit more gritty and nice. And together, the breakdown sounds like. This fill I directed with the help of Matty UK, a former Scouse House vocalist. Has been in the Scouse House, the UK bounce vocal scene, or the vocalist scene for 10 to 15 years. Correct me if I'm not wrong, Matty, if you're here. But he helped me design those fills because I was really stuck at how I would want to do them, and he told me how I should foreshadow the donk in this kind of part, have a snare build up that leads to a drum fill that I chopped up. It's just also a basic Kashmir fill, and I pitched it a bit and layered it with my donk at some parts. And then we transition into the build-up, which is just the basic EDM type build-up of you take one section of the melody and you just simplify it, make it faster playing. And in the back, there's the donk rising up. Like you hear the donk is coming. And the track gets faster. There's the riser, there's the white noise, I don't have to explain those. And then the drop comes. The sample in itself is Werner Herzog, director or someone who plays in movies. I forgot the word. An actor. Fucking Christ. English exams, yeah. No, and I sampled him having a talk about chickens being prone to hypnosis and how chickens are really stupid in the brain. And yeah, I should probably unmute the vocal.
And the intensity of stupidity is just amazing.
And he says the intensity of stupidity is just amazing, which is, of course.
And the intensity.
And if we look at the vocal, I cheated a bit. I used an EQ afterwards to cut out some frequencies I didn't like, mainly lows, I guess. Or not even, I just boosted frequencies there. Ooh. And I used Nectar, which I can't show you because I don't have it on this plate, but basically Nectar automates the process of vocal mixing for you. And I'm really fucking lazy sometimes, so I decide to just slap Nectar onto there and I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And we have another Werner line here.
Hypnotize a chicken.
Where he says hypnotize a chicken as a fill, playing with the donk. And at the beginning of the drop, again here, you also have my friend Werner saying, and the intensity of stupidity is just amazing.
Of stupidity is just amazing.
This is how I stole his voice. I don't think he wants to be in a hard bass track, but now he is. Congrats, Werner, you did it. And that was just the idea, the Herzog meme on chickens is just, was kind of big at the time right now. It was blowing up and I was like, yeah, why not sample that? And just fit the track as well. And this is where I got the name Hypnotize, because he talks about hypnotizing a chicken, by the way. That's just a funny joke. So now we're done with this. Are there any comments, David? What are people saying?
Well, yes, people are talking stuff like, who is this bald man?
Ah, yes, nice. That's, of course, redirecting to the track I'm explaining.
Yeah, well, and yeah, the answer is it's Mr. Demyex, all right? Somebody says, this is so much freaking automation.
Yeah, there is a lot of automation. I didn't even show some automations. I will go into detail why it looks so much. It's less automation than you might think.
Well, and I don't know what's meant by mental UK.
Meti UK, not mental UK. I know he knows that. Who said mental UK?
Diarrhoe.
Duri. Duri knows who Meti UK is. Duri knows what I do. Fuck you, Duri. Stop it. Stop playing around. Stop mobbing my poor David. He doesn't understand.
All right. I shall tell you that a useless loves you.
Oh, yeah, useless. Useless is a nice guy. He's just...
And there's another comment I don't really understand. Grabs beer, 5 seconds later, puts it down.
It's not a beer. Fucking Christ. Yeah, it's because I lifted the bottle and then set it down.
You need another one?
What?
Shall I bring you another one?
Yeah, that would be nice because I really
right.
have a dry mouth. Talking too much.
All right. Yeah, that it was.
Well, was it? Okay, that's nice.
But people, you can write some comments and I will tell them Demyex and then, yeah, all right.
Yeah, we'll do another break in 10 minutes and then you can comment. But let's go into the... Oh, this shouldn't be here. Let's go into the structure of the second build-up. Which starts out kind of... not kind of the same, but I used chord progressions, I know. It's just I'm really not that big with music theory. I have the basics, and where are they? There. It's just really a basic chord progression. There's like not even inversions or anything. It's just that like you have a major chord. I should probably unmute it. Thank you, David. Very cool. You have a major chord. And then a minor chord, and then again a major chord, and then again a minor chord. Basic chord progression stuff. And what I did is use a core from the Direct Wave FL Studio offers. Let me scroll down to find it. It's just a core sample. And it was really nice sounding if I put it in the low octaves, and it sounded like... Oh, like you're getting Halo flashbacks from this. That's some nice stuff, I tell you. And because it's vocal type stuff, I also slapped Nectar onto there. Like, what are you thinking? I'm not your god with vocal mixing. And then the chords get layered with synths that sound like. It's just basic saw synths. Again, these fills were directed by Matty UK, the good boy. I put the kick in here at first, so you get a kind of a groove for the breakdown. And then I put in a melody that is the same kind of synth plugs we used in the first breakdown. It follows the chord progression, as you might have guessed, because I'm lazy and it sounds nicer if it follows the chord progression than does anything else. And this doesn't follow quite follow the normal ABAC structure. I just wrote something that I think sounded fine to me, and it turned out quite nice. So this is what you also can do. There's like aspects of ABAC in there, but like not to the fullest extent. And together with the chords, it sounds really nice. Especially the low transport chords with a transposed melody is really, really nice. And what I did for the dongs is, if you listen to, holy shit, I need to get that right. Plop, plop, plop. They first come out of a low pass because I want to foreshadow the drop. They're playing the drop melody. And then they start getting into a high pass when they're at the peak, and then the high pass comes down before the drop. Then Werner says his famous line, and the intensity of stupidity is just amazing. And then the second drop comes in. And this is a nice fill you can actually recreate. What I just did here is I had the melody part, which is the end of this pattern, and I just yeeted that thing through a flanger. Let me find the bus. Oh, it's here. And you see this flanger is only active now, so this transition sounds different. And it continues normal. What you also should do, what I didn't do on this track, which I could completely slap my ass off because I just forgot it, is make an automation for the sidechain. Because there is no kick playing, so to what should the fucking track be sidechained? To nothing. So there should be no sidechain, right? We can compare this quite easily. We can play the donk in the fill. And this has more power than if I would have left the sidechain on. which makes the fill stand out a bit more. And if you did like me, then yeah, you fucked up, mate. You need to fix that. Like, please, always when there's no kick playing, try to turn off the sidechain. That's what I did in the breakdowns. Sidechain sucks when there's no kick, because there's no reason for the sidechain for most of the part. So let's get into the second part. Like, I probably don't have to explain these drum fills. They're just me chopping up the rhythm I showed. And going back into the second rhythm, which is my favorite written drop of this whole section. It is, again, quite written like the second variation of the first drop. I took the second drop's first part and just modified it, put a bit more spam notes. Like, we can look into the pattern and see. This is a clusterfuck. This doesn't look right, but as you might know, these are just notes, or the pattern is just transposed octaves up or down. This is why it looks so much. And the basic pattern in itself still looks like just the green notes I've highlighted right now. This is the main melody. And it's just like fully fledged out with a lot of spammy fills, but sometimes if you spam the notes, just it doesn't really work. But in this case, it really worked well for me, because the melody never stops playing, and there's like no moment of silence, and you always get to carry on, which gives it a nice not bumping but moving motion, I guess. And yeah, that's it about the drop melody. We can dissect it a bit more in the way of making every pattern unique, if you want. We got any new comments, David? I forgot completely to ask.
Yes. So there are two things that have to be done. The first thing is you have to say Bababoi or something like this.
Bababoi.
All right.
I said it.
And the second thing is they want you to do the warm.
Oh, they want to do me the warm again. Like,
yeah.
I can't do the warm. I'm retarded. My dancing skills are like not highly fleshed out, guys. Sorry. But yeah, how much time do we have left, by the way? That's the question.
I don't know, like 10 minutes or something.
10 minutes, okay.
And they say that Earslav is pokey.
Yeah, pokey is just
ironically German law. I don't know. I use sidechain sometimes on my saws just to make them sound more swingy.
Yeah, that's also like a nice technique. This is what I mean. Like, you should experiment with a sidechain. But what I mean is, if you have a breakdown and you want to foreshadow your dongs, there's no reason that there should be sidechain on the dongs, because they should attack in the fullest. You don't have a kick that needs to come through. Of course, you can experiment it, especially in the case of saws. Like, instead of sidechaining mine, I think I put a slight LFO on it, which is basically the same, but like on a more flattened, just in the serum type of thing. And that just gets them moving and more nice. That's right. Of course, like, I'm not saying this is the complete right 100% way. This is just how I made this track back in the day. 3 months ago, back in the day. I feel so old. Oh my God, my hair's starting to fall out. Please help me. Donate some money to me, please. I need that. But yeah, let's go over the automations, the riser, and then if I have time, I will deduct the melody, because as people mentioned, there's a lot of automations. And it just looks much because I muted a lot and resumed a lot. Like, exactly on that flanger automation here, I needed to mute the flanger from the get-go, and then just in this part the flanger plays, so I needed to activate it. All the green automations are just activation keys for an automation to play. And now you might ask, why didn't you use, why didn't you just put the high pass or low pass on and didn't activate or deactivate it? Well, because I was a big retardomilos back then, and what I decided to do is use Fruity Love Filter. And what I can advise you is, instead of using Fruity Love Filter for low passing and high passing, which you can do, always, okay, there's the master channel, by the way, a lot of O-zones. What you always should do is use parametric EQ, cut out the band you want to use, like should it be high or should it be low? Nah, can I get it right? And then you automate this thing instead of the loft and the loft filter X and Y, what I did, because I needed to activate and deactivate this because the loft filter was altering the sound in itself, because it would always cut out lows or highs from the get-go when I use it. And I don't want my whole song to have things cut out just for the moment that the loft filter plays, so I just needed to activate it in the moment and deactivate it in the moment when it's not playing, which is also quite stupid because you have a quite I forgot how to speak. You have a jump from when the low filter starts, and you can sometimes hear like a pluck or a if it's low or high pass. You need to look what it is, and that's because the frequencies jump to be cut off in that section, and you would still have these frequencies before, and then they're certainly cut off, so you have like this small plopping noise, which is also not nice. But for some reason, it didn't happen in this project, but it happened in new project, so I decided to just use parametric EQ, which is way easier. It's easier to control, and I would advise you guys doing it. And this is why this looks like automated as shit. All the red and the green automations you see is just muting and activating things and having high and low passes go on. And yeah, that's just why it's so full. This, by the way, is the riser. I made the riser myself because why not? It's this sound. Oh, why did I mute it? Let me go into the pattern real quick. It's a 3x oscillator with a noise, a square, and a triangle. And it's layered in a chord type fashion. And if we look on the mixer, we have a lot of stuff going on, which I used for automating. Because alone, this sounds just boring. And then I put an LFO tool. And this just gets faster and faster, so it seems like something is getting cut off. Then the rate of the LFO tool. So it gets more, it starts out more stuck. You hear there's like volume ducks, and then it gets more to the part where you don't hear the volume duck, where it's just like a gritty type sound. Then a bit crusher for a high pitch. A flanges automation. A speed, so it goes up. A pitch. A low filter for more, for high passing the shit at the end. Stereo separation in the structure. And channel volume. So at the end, it fades to 0. And this is how I made the riser. I would advise you doing your own samples. It really helped me to get my own sound. And it's like really a nice way for you to refurbish yourself as an artist. Of course, it's hard to get started with sound design. It can look like this big fucking thing. And hell, I don't really know everything about sound design. I just maybe know like 2 to 3%, but it's enough for me at least to get something that sounds maybe a bit more unique or that stands out in the masses compared to other stuff. This is what helps you as a producer a lot if you try to reinforce your own sound. One funny little side fact, I did this track on 152 BPM, not 160 or 150 or 155, which aren't the round numbers. Why? Because this is thanks to Matty UK, who explained to me that all the old Scouse House and bounce tracks were on 152 BPM. This is where the MCs feel the most at home and where they can flow nice and tight on the beat. So if you ever collab with a MC out of the Scouse or bounce house era, then yeah, that can really, they are home at 152 BPM. And if I would have wanted a vocalist on this track, 152 BPM would be the BPM I would choose. So this is why I put it, just to be clear. Maybe sometimes a vocalist hears the preview and is like, hey, I want to jump on that, and so you're not prepared for that. This is why I started out, and also because it has a nice flowing motion in general. Yeah, that's basically it about Hypnotize. Is there still some questions left? I think my time is also quite running out.
I would say you have 5 minutes remaining or something. They're not really interesting questions. They're talking about Twitch and legendary Bababoi and do the warm again.
No,
But hey, Mr. Fish Boy, you're too late, man. You already did the warm, you know.
Yeah.
Buddy also asked, what's the alcoholic drinking you're drinking?
I'm not alcoholic. I'm just drinking Fritz Cola, not sponsored, because caffeine makes my brain go woof. And it's harder to it's easier to explain things for me because I go in auto-flowing mode when I'm highly addicted to caffeine, I guess.
Yeah, great. So, yeah, like I said, you have like 5 minutes remaining.
With 5 minutes remaining, I would love to say again, thanks to the people who helped me on this track. It's were Rerinho, it were Leo Lantern, it were Matty UK. I will, after the stream ends, I will put their links in the video description if for some reason people are not subscribed to them. And I would advise you to watch out for tomorrow because I have actually a track planned with my boy Andrucha. We did a collab in 1.5 weeks. It turned out pretty fine. And if I get it right, I can give you a small kind of preview. Let me try to get that file actually. Or I think if I have Opera, I send it to someone on WhatsApp. I don't know. Can I connect my phone to this and then people can hear it? I don't know if that's okay.
Can we do this? So, technique guy, yeah, pull out.
Okay, so where's my freaking phone?
It's like
Oh yeah, perfect. Bababoi.
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 Who's that guy?
Bababoi is it's a meme that originated in like a long time ago, where it just was, I think, a golf player saying Bababoi whenever he hit the golf ball.
Okay.
And I found it through a YouTuber who would censor his swear words and his saying always with Bababoi, and it's like this really deep voice. Also, there's a history of whenever a camera in the UK or in the US is put up and people are interviewed, someone runs up to the camera, Bababoi, and then scaffolds away again, and people are like, whoa, what did he do?
All right. So I learned one thing today.
Yeah, that's the origin of the Bababoi meme. So you need to tell me if they
Demyex is whipping it out of his pants.
Nah.
Hashtag Demyex is over party.
No, that's mean. This is the track I made with Andrucha, a really nice guy. You should also check out Andrucha. He's an upcoming artist, just like me, and he is just the boy in that kind of regard. He was influential with his Metal Shade tracks for this track, and I think you should definitely check him out and keep him on your radar if you're interested in Metal Shade or hard bass. And of course, we sampled Bababoi on this track. It wouldn't be a good track if there's not Bababoi sampled.
Very good.
That's the whole meme about me and Bababoi.
All right, so I think then you can do the warm while playing the song or something.
Do the warm for you guys.
Fish McFreako says he likes your haircut.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I got nicer.
And it's like a pun out of Demyex and egg. Demyex.
Yeah, Demyex. Yeah. No, Alan Aztec is the Aggie boy. But yeah, if you're interested in the song you just heard, stick around to tomorrow. I will release that with Andrucha. It will also be on Spotify. I will put my other stuff on Spotify because why not? Maybe people want to listen to that. And with that, I am done with my part for the Café TV podcast.